Hi team, welcome back to our Introduction to Ancient Rome Anchor Fact series of printables and mini lessons. How did the Roman Empire fall? In many ways, this is what historians call an argument without end. There is probably no way to settle it, but there is no way to explain the fall of Rome without including two crucial themes, which will be covered in our final two lessons. First, the collapse of Roman culture and its replacement by Christianity. And second, the collapse of the Roman military and the barbarian invasions that toppled the empire. Today, we will address the first of these causes. Roman culture during the time of the Roman Empire was corrupt and vile. The Romans watched people fight to the death in the arena as gladiators. They even persecuted people for their religions, killing them in the same arena. Those people were Christians, the first of the great wave of believers who accepted what Christians call the gospel, the teachings of Jesus and his apostles. Attacks on Christians lasted for centuries, but they kept their faith. And then a massive shift occurred. The emperor, Constantine, had a vision. In hoc signo vinces was the message, which means, by this sign you shall conquer. The sign was a Christian symbol called the Chi-Rho, which was later replaced simply by the cross to symbolize the death of Jesus. Constantine went on to become the Roman emperor at a time when everything was falling apart. He tried to maintain it by keeping a split between the eastern and western halves. He even renamed the city of Byzantium to Constantinople and moved there. Christianity was active in both Rome and Constantinople. Constantine held a special convention of church leaders called the Council of Nicaea to make sure they all agreed on what the standard message of Christianity would be. The message they chose became known as the Nicene Creed. Meanwhile, back in Rome, the followers of Peter, one of Jesus' apostles, were building the Roman Catholic Church, which of course is named after the city of Rome, and uses the word Catholic, which means universal, in other words, for all people. Because of Constantine, Christianity was made a legal religion in the empire, starting in 325 AD, and the persecution of Christians stopped. But then the Christians turned the table. The Emperor Theodosius began to persecute non-Christians. He made Christianity the only legal religion in the Roman Empire. It wasn't easy to be a Christian emperor, however. As we see in this painting, Theodosius got in trouble with the church. He had massacred some rebellious people in the empire, and the church disapproved. He was confronted by the Christian bishop Ambrose, who refused to allow him to enter the church and perform the rites that Christians believe is central to their religion. Theodosius had to repent. This continued to be a theme of European politics long after the fall of Rome. Rulers and church leaders were often in conflict, and if rulers didn't do what the church wanted, they could be in real trouble. They could even be excommunicated, as the phrase goes. It means to be outside of communication, if you will, with the church. And, well, if you have a serious belief in that sort of thing, it also means that you do not get to go to heaven. So rulers had to behave. And they often didn't like having to be limited by the church. This conflict between church and state, which started in Rome, is very important in the history of politics. When the founding fathers of the United States looked back at history, this was one of the examples they understood. They understood that when you use the power of the government to force people to agree with one religion, everyone's rights are violated. That's why they put freedom of religion right in the First Amendment. The Christians of Rome were not in such a giving mood. They believed themselves to be taking over the world. But they would have a big mountain to climb. One of the versions of Christianity that was rejected at the Council of Nicaea was known as Arianism. We'll look at that again next time. Arianism made its way into the German barbarians to the north, and all of Europe would soon be invaded by a nomadic horde from Asia called the Huns. For the full story of the fall of Rome, tune in next time for our final mini lesson in this series. See you then.